I first found out that I had autism, I believe, at age 10. A long time I was trying to hide to my autism because, I felt like it's a horrible thing. It's like a curse and all that stuff. And I'm like, no, I can't have autism. I can't have autism. I just can't. So I try really hard to try to fit in with the individuals who are what I call normal. How they talk, how they act, how they speak to one another, and kind of like what they do and all that stuff too.
I learned things about my son that I never knew. He never had the ability to communicate that to me. He never had the ability to verbalize those things to me, but his ability to write gave me insight onto who my son actually really was. And for me, that was amazing. I remember when Tyler first came out, I remember looking at him, and my very first words were, he's beautiful. And to this day, that's exactly how I feel about him.
I first met Tyler. Tyler was transitioning from the middle school to the high school, and I knew he was going to be my student, so I met with Tyler and his paraeducator.
I actually could say that I had somewhat met him because of stories that preceded him, so it was with a lot of very positive anticipation of having him join us on the high school campus.
So the school year started, and we met a couple of times, but before a day or two even, we had a welcome assembly where all of the student body came into the gym, and the cheerleaders were dancing, and everybody, the football team was introduced, I think. There were a bunch of events just to try and get people, this is your school, here you are, and let's have a good year. So while the dancing is going on with the cheerleaders, I'm sitting over in the faculty section, and I noticed somebody's jumped out of the stands over where the seniors are, and it's Tyler McNamer, and I'm thinking, there's my student, and he's out there dancing. And I tell you, I thought, what? This is so unusual. Nobody does that. And it put a smile on my face. It was good dancing.
I think it was just his curiosity. He was the first student I had that really wanted to know what was behind every door. And that continued throughout his high school days and to now. He wants to know things. He's just curious to know more and more.
He came with that inquisitive spirit of wanting to be involved in every little aspect of the school campus and what it could bring to him.
One of the funniest stories that I can really remember about him, it always makes me smile, is homecoming week. And one of the days we had to dress up in pajamas. Everybody wore their pajamas that day. And Tyler wore his pajamas and also had a stuffed toy with him. And so when they did an activity at lunchtime, he slowly just walked around the crowd and just like yawned real big or hugged the stuffed toy, and then all of a sudden went over to the stage area they had and just laid down and curled up, and it was as though he fell asleep. And he didn't really, but it was a great great thing for him to do. Everybody just kind of looked at him and kind of smiled, and so I always remember him just curled up with that little stuffed toy in his pajamas, high school senior, and it always makes me smile.
I regularly tell Tyler, that he's absolutely perfect just the way he is. I couldn't want anything more in a son, and that first memory really is carried through, because when he was 3 and diagnosed with autism, this has been a 15-year journey to where we're at right now. And as a dad, you go through a tremendous amount of emotions, because the first emotion is you just can't believe that there's something wrong with your son, and then you just try to fix him, and you spend your life trying to fix him. And when I came to the realization that there was nothing there to fix, is when our relationship really began. And that took me some time. And when you, or at least for me, when I started to concentrate on what Tyler's real unique ability was and what his real loves were, and really just started loving him for who he was, that's when I really became a dad to Tyler.
First time I met Tyler, I invited him to attend my Bestseller Publishing Institute, and I had the opportunity to ride to and from with him in my car, and it was great to have him with me. We had lunch and breakfast on the ferry boat together. I really got to know him as a person and just learn as a result what a gift he is to human mankind and what a unique person that he is, and just an extraordinary young man. So I was thrilled to have that opportunity to carpool with him in a sense.
When he told me, it's interesting because he never said that, you know, he was writing a book. You know, I knew he wrote, you know, because he posts Facebook blogs and, you know, or Facebook things, and he'd write some stories for the newspaper, you know, but, you know, he was substantially into his book when he said, you know, Dad, I'm writing a book.
Basically, I knew that he was doing some journaling. And I didn't know that that was going to turn into a book, but really didn't know too much until we met with you and Christina and Tyler about it. You had gone to the conference, and now there was this book. So we were thrilled, and we knew that he had such great writing skills. So for him to turn that into a book was fantastic.
You know, he had said that he was writing, you know, he was writing a lot this year, in this senior year, and he'd say he was working on his book. And I think we all just kind of said, yeah, that he's working on a book, and but had no idea that he was really working on a book. And there was this book that he's presenting, and it's awesome.
And I'm just blown away. I thought, you've written a book? Because I know his communication in dancing. I know his communication non-verbally and his verbal communication, but I had no idea that he loved to write and that he had something to share.
Population 1 is the book that I wrote, which means that I'm going to talk to people about my life with autism. And I think it'll be really great if kids, teenagers, and teachers, and adults, or any kind of individual have the ability to see, or just for me to share my world with theirs in order to be inspired to make their lives for the better.
Well, I think the reality of it is, I don't think there's anything else like this on the marketplace. Most people that have autism, for example, they're not writing books. You know, most people that have autism are trying to figure out a way to graduate from, you know, junior high, graduate from high school, try to figure out what type of job to pursue when they're done, whether or not they can move away from mother and father at some point in the future. That's what they're focusing on, and that's what's so unique about Tyler is that he's looking past that. He's looking into his adult years. He's looking at becoming an entrepreneur, being a successful, impactful speaker. And for me to have an opportunity to read a book like this is going to be an amazing thing, because really I just don't think there's anything else like this in the marketplace that exists today.
I decided to write Population 1 because, well, for one thing, I wanted to see show people, what I meant to say was to show people how to, view autism in a different way. That's a great thing. Another thing that I want to do Population 1 is because I did a little theory saying that everyone has their own little worlds and everyone has their own little Population 1. Another thing I like to add with Population 1 is that there's only one universe. Well, there's also other universes too, if you're like in fictional books or video games too. But there's only one universe, and with that universe, I view that itself is a Population 1, and we can all coexist peacefully.
The way he presented to me was Population 1, not so much he is a population of 1, but each of us is a population of 1. And so I'm very excited to connect with that, because as a teacher of biology, we are very impressed and hope to share with our students about both the unity of life, how we all are so close in our basic biology and share ancestry, yet we're all so unique. Unity and diversity is how the theme is described. And just to see humanity as so many things that we share, that we are alike, that we can understand each other, but each one of us is totally unique. And I'm talking to Tyler about his book. I think I'm going to see in that both those themes.
But he wouldn't let me read it. And it actually wasn't until he was basically finished that he allowed me to start looking at it. And as I looked at it, I was amazed. I knew at that point that Tyler had a gift that not only other fathers should read about his particular experience, and there's some things in the book that are very real and very real about our relationship that I never really realized.
Autism is such a piece of everybody's life right now because it's something that we hear about. It's touching more people's lives individually. I think it's also is building hopefully a greater heart in people for everybody, to honor individual differences and uniquenesses. So Population 1 is going to be a piece of that.
I think that Tyler will do a great job speaking for not only people who have autism, but for all of us. Because I think the thing that I will always remember with Tyler is he makes me rethink. He makes me wonder. First he inspires people. He's got some great ideas, and sometimes he's not able to carry them all the way through, but he inspires us to carry on. He inspires us to rethink what we're doing and how we're doing it. So I believe that is wonderful, and that will help everyone, not just people with autism.
And I think there's a lesson for all of us in that if we can live our lives in the way that certain people with autism have, I think the world would probably be a much better place to live in.